conversations. Let's have real conversations.
Get ready to stir it up.
Life events and everything in between. Let's go.
Get ready to stir it up.
No capping. If guests got you covered right up.
Get ready to stir it up. Stir it up.
Come on.
Get ready to stir it up.
Hi everyone, welcome to Stir It Up. Today I have Sharon Mills. Welcome, Sharon.
Hi. Again.
Right now, we need
Am I a member or like...
That's what I was going to say, that we
Okay.
need to make you an honorary member.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because I'll start coming here with my manager because, you know,
I think so.
this is getting really
I think so.
commercial now.
I think so. And you know what? There are few people that I need to, you know, formalize this relationship
Right?
with. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's get the lawyers involved.
Anyway, so today Sharon and I are going to be talking about friendship and friendship within the context of choosing friends and sustaining friendships. And it's going to be a wing it conversation as usual. We are both heavily unqualified to have this conversation. Hopefully, the science will help us. Some experience here and there.
Am I becoming like the data and science person?
Challenge. That's how it has to be. We need a little bit of that
Oh, man.
to balance it out.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay. All right.
So welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll start from the perspective of humans are not built to be alone.
Right.
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 We are built for connection.
Yeah.
Regardless of your personality type, your attachment style, your, you know, who you are as an individual, we need some level of connection and some level of intimacy
Yeah.
to thrive.
Yeah.
So some needed a lot more than others. So we all need it to different varying extents, right? But we need it for, you know, to for survival.
Yeah. Sure.
Whether it's for, you know, as a support system
Yeah.
within the framework of even having a conversation, or, you know, to bounce a thought of someone, for, you know, for our livelihood, or even for the day-to-day existence of completing tasks and so on and so forth. We do need other human interactions, right?
Yeah. Community.
We need community.
Yeah.
And one of the relationships that we heavily depend on are friendships.
Yeah.
And it would be good to start off this conversation understanding maybe how we choose friends.
Right. Right.
So if you were to think about it, how do we pick our friends?
How do we pick our friends? It's funny, I think in all the things we are taught growing up, right? I don't think choosing friends is one of them.
Nope.
You know, they teach us to do everything, like brush our teeth, cross the road, look left, look right, you
Yeah.
know. But for some reason, it seems like there's a natural expectation, right, that you should know how to make friends. Yes. And so I think in the absence of formal direction, we've just made do. We felt in the dark and found our way around. Yeah. Which has probably got us bumping our heads
all
too
over
many
the place.
times.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that now, I would say previously I chose friends, or I didn't choose friends. We made friends, became friends, right? Yeah. Common interests, you know, we went to the same school, we were in the same class, or we clicked, you know, the most vague one, you know, we clicked, oh,
yeah, we gel.
clicked. Yeah, you
I
know,
like it.
Yeah, we vibe, you know, yeah. Or she's funny, or we're both foodies, or we both like this, or we, you know.
We connect.
We play a sport together, you know, we're in the same club together, things like that. So I think previously, that's probably how I made friends. I think that's how most of us made friends. But in recent days, a few years ago, I got to the point where I had to start questioning that, right? And I think that it's all part of growing up and, you know, sort of not just as becoming from a child to an adult, but becoming an adult who wants to thrive. And you try to find out those aspects of your life that you want to mature in, those aspects in your life where you struggle in, so you want to get better at, you know. So I have a really good friend who's a therapist, and it was a random conversation. I mean, I believe in therapy. I think I'm the preaching to the choir, right? I'm the theology and therapy type, right? In my opinion, you are doing all of that theology for your spirit's health.
Yeah.
You need something for your soul's health as well.
Yeah.
And I think that therapy is able to connect with your mind, will, and emotions in a more tangible way.
Yeah.
And you have the spirit side of things also. Yeah. So I also feel like it's medicine or it's science. And that's also a provision from the same person who created you, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with therapy. So I would very easily jump into a seat to, as they say, to be therapized, as they've been saying.
Yeah.
So just a random conversation with a friend who's a therapist, really nice lady. And she asked me, I think, probably one of the earth-shaking questions I've ever been asked in my life.
It just kind of refocused.
It changed the game.
Yeah.
She says, what do you look out for when you are picking your friends? And I was like, And
beauty, brains,
like you said, beauty palette. And I was dead silent, right? Because I had to think about it.
Yes.
Because I realized in that moment
that you hadn't ever
I didn't
thought.
have, And anyone who knows me would always like, really, you had nothing to say?
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, what? And she realized my confusion and all that. She was like, listen, we go around in life getting dictated to what's important.
Yeah.
However, relationships, broad spectrum of relationships are important. You've established how important community is. Community comes from relationships. There are some relationships that are chosen for you, easy, family.
Yes.
Whatever they are, they're still your family.
Yeah. You can't do anything about it.
Exactly. So there's no sense of choice there, even though maybe later in life you may choose how much access your family has to you.
Yes.
However, she says that when people are talking about marriage, there's all this specificity, and you need to know what you want, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, and look out for this, look out for that, make sure you're aligned. There's that careful specificity because you know that the marriage affects your personal life, right? Yeah. And she says that we don't do that with friendships, but the truth is that your friendships can influence your life just as much as a marriage would.
Yeah.
Yes, there are elements of intimacy and some level of connection that you may not have in a friendship compared to a marriage relationship, but the influence on your life, it's almost the same.
Yes.
So why don't we actually choose friends?
Why are we not intentional about doing that?
Why are we not intentional about doing that? And I was like, well, that's something to think about.
Yeah.
And then in thinking, I realized, well, maybe it's because that's not something I'm taught to choose well on, right? Obviously, I don't know who to put the blame on, so it's nobody's fault. But it's just, in our culture, it's not something we have, right? And I also think that the assumption comes from because you have learned how to be in a family a family circle, then you should know how to be in a friend circle. Yeah. But the dynamics are different. The influence is as heavy, but the dynamics are different. And then also growing up, you now you look back and you realize you had grandparents, parents who used to say things that were from their experience of friendship, but they didn't give you lessons. They gave you warnings. Yeah. Don't tell people too much. Don't talk about things about home with your friends. Don't tell your friends everything. You're going to travel. Don't tell your friends we are traveling. There were those things.
When you're in the sky, the airplane will stop.
Don't tell your friends you are traveling. Don't tell this. Don't do this. And I think
that... But there was no guidance associated with those warnings to help you navigate that relationship.
Exactly. So
because you can't throw... Otherwise, you throw all the relationships away.
That is it. Yeah. So my grandmother used to say this thing, and I miss her so much. She's of blessed memory. And she used to say, when I was going to uni, right, her farewell message to me was, don't make many friends and don't fight.
Yeah.
I was going to uni.
Yeah. How is that the message? But it was the message.
You understand?
Yeah.
But you grow up and you kind of understand where she was coming from, right? Now, the many friends aspect, obviously, if you're making so many friends, the benefits of friendship you may not enjoy most, right? And so from that point, yes, you can understand that there were efforts to try to help you, but they weren't helpful. They were informative, but we couldn't do anything with the information, right?
Because the question is, why shouldn't I make many friends?
Exactly.
And why shouldn't I fight? Because the truth is, it's not about not fighting. It's about how you fight and how you resolve the conflict, right?
So how you don't get into situations of always having to fight.
Yes.
So we didn't have the context. So for me, I just kind of got to that point, which is why I have a conversation with my friend. And when she asked me that, I think it changed everything.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I have like perfect friend-making skills now, but I'm more informed. I think that we make friends, or we should make friends in the same way we make any other kind of relational decision. If you're going to work somewhere, right, you kind of have a fair idea of the kind of place you want to work, the role you want to play, what you want to do. You're going to pick in a marriage partner. You have your list, your shopping list, so to speak.
Your values.
Your values, your principles. The things that guide you, the things that
your deal breakers.
Your deal breakers, the red flags, all of
your
that.
Green flags.
Your green flags, So you need that when you're making friends, okay? And it's not a come and sit here and let me vet you kind of thing.
But maybe it should be.
Maybe. But the truth is,
without the come and sit here.
Yes,
but
yes,
you
have to vet
you need to
friends.
have a board meeting with yourself.
Indeed.
And vet the person in your mind and say,
Indeed.
does this person qualify to be in my?
Exactly.
Or if you take the onion of friendship and each circle has a certain level of access to you.
Yes.
In which circle do I put this person?
Exactly. And the truth is that, like any other relationship, we all have different needs from different relationships.
Absolutely.
Right? And so you have to ask yourself, what do you want in a friend, right? And the truth is that we've ended up having some expectations from some people, which is actually unfair to them because they never said they could deliver that.
Absolutely.
You are now upset that they don't deliver that.
Yeah.
But did they ever say?
Did they ever sign up to be
Did you
even
ever
with our
notice?
spouses that they didn't?
It's the expectation level, right?
Yes.
Did we ever get to that point where we noticed a certain trait in someone and said, then I want this person to be my friend?
Yeah.
We are not intentional like that.
Yeah.
So I would say how we should make friends is what I've learned from therapists, from books. We need to know what we want in friendship. What do I want from a friendship?
Yeah.
Yes, you can look at your dictionary definition of friendship, but it will never mean anything to you if the friendship doesn't do what it is you want it to do.
Yeah.
So we should always start from what do I want from my friends?
Yeah.
And it could be anything. And I think also we come from a culture where we are kind of shamed for our desires that are not too popular, right? Okay. It's okay to want a friend that makes you laugh. It sounds fickle, but it's okay to want that, right? If your value is in joy,
why not?
Why not? So what is your list? Is it empathy? You want somebody who can empathize with you. You want someone who's honest, someone who's transparent. What do you want from a friendship? Once you have that list, you are in a world with people. You probably have friends you just vibe with, so they are your friends. But then once you have that list, you now need to get to that point of assessing, do these people meet this?
Do they tick the boxes?
Do they tick the boxes?
Yeah.
And you would usually find that the friends you usually have issues with are the ones who don't tick the boxes. Then you come to realize that, well, maybe it's not even their fault because they are not meeting my standards, not because they lied, but I didn't know they could meet it or not. I took a chance. So no, you shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think it comes to that point around expectations, that as human beings, we have all of these expectations of people.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily align with the people before we start having those expectations.
And we are not even clear on our expectations.
And we're not even clear and open about those expectations that we have of these people, right?
Yeah.
So, pivoting off this whole conversation of expectations.
Right.
So, let's say you have this checklist in your mental checklist in your head.
Right.
And you've picked someone who is now your friend.
Right.
Do you then have the conversation on what it is that you want? or how do you begin to decide that this relationship is worth investing in? Or this relationship is one that I want to continue to work at and sustain over time?
Yeah. So I would say that looking at your checklist, right? You're not looking for someone who scores 100% on everything. They're human.
Absolutely.
It's not possible.
80-20.
Exactly. So what's the 80 you could live with and the 20 you can't live with? And who do you get that from?
Yeah.
Right? So when you begin to do that assessment, and it comes back to relational intelligence, I mentioned it. So the book by Darius Daniels. So relational intelligence tells you that at the beginning, you need to do a level of assessment, right? So this assessment is that, okay, so Akua, that is my friend. What makes us friends? You could start from there. But the truth is you have values. So you have to go to your values. And that, okay, maybe I look out for somebody who inspires joy, someone who doesn't hold me accountable, someone who, like, it's your list. Whether it's healthy or not is secondary, right? That's your list. So now I check the list and I'm like, no wonder I'm always fighting with Akua, because I don't like being held accountable. And she's always trying to hold me accountable. So that's where the fight is. But Akua probably also thinks that as a friend, I should have hold her accountable. Do you understand? It's now
Connection back.
You understand? And it's now my responsibility, because I'm the one being affected. I have to decide that is the accountability that I don't like I'm getting from Akua that I don't like. Is it enough to...
Is it a deal breaker?
Yes. Is it a deal breaker? And when it is, you have to be honest with yourself, because guess what? You always be upset because she'll be herself.
Okay.
You have two options, right? You can set your boundaries and know that there's only so much further she can come. Or you can have a conversation. Akua, love the hell out of you. I don't want accountability.
But I don't want to be accountable.
Then Akua says, why? So, well, I just don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I like to live life at my own pace, whatever. He says, okay. With that understanding, can you now appreciate why Akua is holding you accountable?
Yeah.
Is Akua now inspiring you to be more accountable to people?
Or is Akua willing to recalibrate herself in service of leaving you to live the way you want to live, right? Because it's also a give and take and an adjusting to each other's needs, right? And maybe it's also that negotiation where Akua says, but are there situations where it's okay for me to hold you accountable?
Yes. And I think that as adults, ironically, we've gotten into this space of there are some conversations that are weird to have. Like, it goes without saying, but it doesn't. It's okay for, like, guys get together and talk about some girl, right? Girls get together and talk about some guy. I think it's okay for us to get together and talk about ourselves. And I also think that as adults, we need to kind of draw ourselves into a more secure attachment base, right? So again, attachment styles come to play, where if you're avoidant, if you're anxious, if you're secure. Those different attachment styles also influence how you make friends, how you behave with your friends, how you live long with friends, or how you don't stay in friendships. If I understand your attachment style, I would have a better understanding for why you are the way you are. If I understand mine also, I know who to go to for friendship and who not to. So that level of understanding is necessary. So relational intelligence, attachment styles are like two strong elements, at least, that I know have helped. And I think are helpful because they give you perspective. They allow you to look at yourself. You look inward first, and then you look at this person. Should you find that somebody in your circle just cannot be your friend, we're not saying go and shoot them or kick them out.
No, you said...
There are some boundaries, right? Because you now adjust your expectations. I know that Akua comes with accountability. So when there's something going on, if I decided I was going to stop doing a certain habit, I'll not tell Akua about it.
No. Because Akua will say, you said you were going to do this, so what's happening, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I would feel more comfortable, because now I can talk to Akua about everything and leave out the things that would trigger that level of accountability I don't want. We have a more peaceful relationship.
Yes, true.
We're butting heads less, you know. So I think that having an understanding of some of these things makes making friendships better. I would say I have probably learned to make friends better in very recent days, like in the past few years. And I see the difference because you have to kind of be more intentional, right? And then you also kind of now appreciate those who cannot be your friend. Absolutely. You don't hate them, but you understand.
You're
why.
very clear on
exactly because relational intelligence, like I was saying, it tells you who's your friend, who's your associate, who is your advisor, who is your assignment, right? Now, an advisor is somebody you go to for advice, right?
And that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you and that person have to understand that that's what your relationship is. Nobody says the relationship can't evolve, but every level of relationship, every level it changes, there's different sets of expectations, or there's a heightened sense of expectation. So if you are my friend, and I have found all those qualities in you, and so we are friends, and over time, things have changed, and I don't get that back from you. I'm not upset at you, but I'm going to have to assess again and ask myself,
do I still want to be here?
Is keeping you in this particular thing causing me problems? And if it is, I have to assess and say, okay, this person
am I getting what I need from this relationship? And
Yes.
or am I satisfied with where it is, right?
Yes.
And if I'm satisfied, then all well and good.
Yes.
If I need more,
Yes.
will I get it from here?
Yes.
And if I will get it from here, then yes, we'll work at it.
Yes.
But if the reality is I will not get it from here,
Yes.
then I need to reassess.
Exactly.
And make a decision whether I want to continue to stay here,
Yeah.
or what will I get?
Yes.
And manage my expectations,
Yes.
and then see what I will get from and where I will get it from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know for some people it sounds like a whole lot of work just to have friends.
Yeah.
But I think if anyone has had
One or two good friends, you realize that there's
you are
value
pushed-
in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at the other side too, if you've had people who you thought were friends
And
who have been
discover-
a letdown, you realize there's something you need to do better.
Yes.
You know. So I think that making friends making friends in a better way is better for you and the world around you.
Yeah.
Because you also have to remember that you're also dealing with people. So the same time you are disappointed in someone, they are probably also disappointed with you about something. Because you never know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there's that level of intentionality that must be brought to making friends, understanding us, just to make the world a better place, really. Because, you know, all those warnings, now you think of them, you understand where it came from.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like a jilted lover telling people, don't go and fall in love. That's what
But that's
were.
not the solution, right?
Exactly.
The solution is
don't
not
do it how I did it,
No,
or
but-
do it better.
But you know, it's very interesting. So, my older daughter wears her heart on her sleeve.
Okay.
So, this is coming off the conversation about teaching children and being taught how to make friends.
Yeah.
And obviously, as a teenager, she works in absolutes.
Yeah.
It's you are either
It's
here
either or there.
or you are there,
There's no
right?
gray areas.
The gray area is half an inch,
Very little room
very
for...
little room. Whereas for us adults, the gray area is an ocean.
Exactly.
right? It's massive.
Massive, yeah. Because the older you get, the wider that gray
You
area
begin to
gets, right?
understand it,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So she comes and then she's telling me, so there's someone she's defended. There was a big situation in school, and this girl she had defended. She knew nothing about it.
Right.
But she's one of those people.
Ride or die.
No, ride or die. The person was not even her friend.
Okay.
But she's, you know, people who are about justice.
Yes. Our advocate.
Yes, she's an advocate, and she doesn't like injustice, right?
Right.
So if she sees anything that seems to be somebody being at the end of injustice,
Yeah.
she'll question
So rise
it.
up for it. Yeah.
And so she's questioned a situation where somebody was in a situation, all the kids were coming for this person, and she says, but you didn't see it. You weren't there. Why are you saying it, right? And to be honest, I was so proud of her when she came and she told me this whole story. I'm like, yes,
Freedom and justice.
freedom and justice. My child is thinking, right? And fast forward, a month later, a situation has happened in school. And then when this thing happened, she had a chat with this child and said, this is the word on the street. I think you should talk to the counselor in school. I think you should talk to your mom. Because it was quite a serious situation, right? But that's what she did. And I was so proud because essentially she stood up for somebody, because this child would probably have never known, and everybody would have been acting up against them.
Right.
So she comes to me and says, oh, this has happened, right? But fast forward, something has happened in school. And apparently, this child is at the forefront of vilifying poor child. And poor child is feeling it. She's like, and I stood up for her, and she didn't even ask me. And she's feeling it. And she says,
The gray area hits.
and I would not speak to her. And mommy, what do you think? And I'm like, you know something. And the question is, as she's talking, every time she'll say, but what do you think, right? I said to her, but you can't completely, you don't know for a fact that this is what happened.
Right.
So you need to ask the question.
Right.
So she agreed she would ask the question after a lot of conversations. But what was very interesting for me was, as we were talking, I said to her that she at a point in time said that she was never going to speak to her again. I said, then my child, you will not have any friends. Because friends will always offend you. Sometimes knowingly and sometimes unknowingly.
Yeah.
And then she says, but she talks and she did this and she did that. I said, but you know something? Mommy also have friends who might not always know when to share and when not to share. But mommy doesn't just decide that she'll never speak to throw them away.
Yeah.
You then decide that, okay, if this is something that I'm afraid that it will be shared and I'm worried about it, then you don't say it.
Yeah.
So that is how you set the boundary.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean that suddenly you don't speak to the person anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is one thing.
Yeah.
And then I said to her, and the mommy also have friends who might not have empathy. So it means that when you're in a bad situation, you don't look to them for empathy.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But those people might be very good in so many other areas, right?
Right.
So you need to weigh your friends and say that I can get A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H from this person.
Right.
But these are the two things I can't get from this person.
Right.
But how do I navigate that in such a way that I protect myself, but I'm also able to preserve the relationship?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And she sat there and she just listened to me. Yeah. But then I walked away feeling like, I wish somebody had told me that. And nobody ever had that conversation with me.
You learned it at the school of hard knocks.
I learned it.
The school of hard knocks. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where you are telling me about we were never taught how to build relationships.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We experienced it.
Yeah.
And I guess we were given warnings. But now when you have a fuller conversation and you're saying, this is the situation.
Yeah.
This is what could be happening.
Yes.
And maybe this is how you could be looking at it.
Yeah.
It allows them to have almost like a fully formed thought. And they can kind of understand the why.
Exactly.
It might not be the best reason, but at least they know why. They have a frame of reference.
Exactly. And I think that we discount the effect, the negative effect of bad friendships, as well as not appreciating the positive effect of good friendships. So in this example, right, you have to get to the point where you realize that you want friends who can keep a secret, friends who are circumspect, friends who understand privacy.
Yes.
So if that's a big value for you, and you meet somebody and you realize that they can't, maybe not even intentionally, you have to decide that I need a boundary, that there are some things I cannot discuss with this person, especially that which I don't want to get out there.
Yes.
It doesn't make the person a bad person.
No, it doesn't.
That person could be one of the best conversationalists you ever meet. So you just have to guard the level of conversation. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a full relationship. It means you're actually likely going to have a happier one.
Yes.
Because I said, boundaries don't just keep things out. They also keep things in. Right?
They're there to protect relationships, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we talked about that the last time.
Yes. So you need to get to that point where you are making these decisions based on values or principles that you know you need, your non-negotiables, and you are willing to grieve what has to go. The thought of grieving what has to go is like, but it's what it is. Because the truth is, we often like a lot of things that are no good for us.
And plenty.
Exactly, including people.
That's true.
And so you have to get
How
to
many
that
of us
point.
have not been in unhealthy relationships? Yeah.
It's almost like it's a given. It's like a life passage, like rite of passage.
Rite of passage.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, but I also know that once you have a more purposeful approach to making friendships. It also allows you to have more grace when something happens.
Yes.
Because you know why this person is in your
Yeah,
circle. So even if you heard the person did something, one, you already know is out of character for the person because you know what they take.
Yes.
So, like, I like this analogy that Danos uses about Jesus, right? Because he's like, even Jesus needed friends. So you that you're trying to do, I got this.
I'm on my own.
No, it's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Even him, there were the large group of disciples, right? Then he selected the 12. Then in the 12,
there were the
three.
The Peter.
Yes, James and John,
Yeah.
the three.
Yeah.
Within the three, he takes you guys on his last night in the world. And they went to sleep on him, literally. They slept twice. When he finally met his death, rose again. Did he see Peter and say, "You,
Where were you
when I was dying, slept"? He said, "You are the rock on which I'll." There's something he knew about Peter that made him choose Peter to be in his inner circle. His I3, that inner three. And regardless of Peter's moment of weakness, he still knew that Peter had that potential of being the guy who takes the message further.
Yeah.
So he comes back not mad at Peter, but with grace for Peter and restores Peter.
But I love what you're saying, Sharon, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
You know, as you get older, as I have gotten older, so let me personalize this, right? I've learned to extend a lot of grace to people. And I've not always
Done that.
right? But you realize that people make mistakes.
Right.
And I've learned to also see the good in people. You would always look at people and think that people are you know, the question about people are inherently good or people are inherently bad.
Yeah.
I would say people are inherently good a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah.
But it's nice to hear you say what you just said, because that is how friendships survive.
Yes.
Being able to look
To find grace.
to extend grace.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
being able to look and say, oh, Sharon said this, that is out of character.
Exactly.
And being able to say, you know what? Or I forgive Sharon.
Right.
Or Sharon means more to me
Yep.
than
This moment.
But than this moment
Yes.
or
Yes.
this action.
Yes.
Right.
But that grace only comes from when you chose Sharon based on a certain set of things that you knew you were getting from
And
her.
that's important.
Exactly. Because when that foundation is there, the grace is easy to give.
To extend.
Because you know it's not like her.
And especially when and Sharon is what you call a secure base.
Fair enough.
But I want to say this thing. You recommended this book Attached to Me,
Right.
and thank you for that.
Okay. Life changing?
Life changing. Absolutely life changing.
Yeah.
I actually asked, somebody had asked a question on one of the on one of the episodes that I put up, and I actually recommended it to the person to read.
Okay.
Absolutely life
Love
changing.
it. Love it. Yeah.
Because we all need that secure base, be it in a partner, but also be it in certain kinds of relationships that give us some kind of base where we know that we have this relationship that gives us A, B, C, D.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that learning to extend grace to people, unless they show us repeatedly that they are not deserving of it,
Exactly.
is something that we need to learn to do.
For sure. And I think I have learned, because I also wouldn't call myself someone who'd extended grace, naturally, often. But I think that once you get into a place where you know these are your people, this is why you've picked them. You know their character, you know that they are here because of X, Y, Z. And you know the 20% they can give you.
Yeah.
So when those 20% moments happen, easy to extend grace. I don't expect that from you.
No.
So it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I wanted you to be here. Yes, I may want friends who show up, but I may also want friends who have 4 or 5 other characteristics. And then I have this one friend who has all the 5 except not showing up. Is it worth saying throw the person away?
No.
I get the 80%. So I may have to learn to live not getting that 20%. Would that be fun? No. But that's where the grieving comes in.
But you know, it's interesting. So I have a friend. Outstanding human.
Yeah.
If I was struggling with something and I picked up the phone and I called, and I had to talk for 2 hours, ears open, fully attentive, fully present, listening, has held my hand through some of the toughest times in my life. And we have quite a few. We have, and the thing is, these are all friends who are mostly older than me, right?
Okay.
But this particular one is significantly older than me.
Okay.
And in our group, he's always insulting me. Oh, foolish girl. Oh, you did this.
I told
Oh,
you
did
that for some tribes, insults is
but
a
this
love
one,
language.
he's not even.
It's not my people's
but
song.
it's not your people's song.
Okay,
But you know me, insult is most of my love language. So
The insult is the love
it's a love language,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And you know what's interesting? Never on time for anything. Never on time.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to go here. Oh. And then you'll be late. And I'm like, you're late. Why are you late? And I'm never late for anything.
Right. So why are you late?
I'm never.
So you're like, why is he late?
So why are you? Yes.
Yeah.
Why are you late? Right. And if I'm going to be late, I know an hour before I'm late that I'm going to be late.
Right. So tell me.
So I will tell you that
Yeah.
I'm going to be late. And so tell me you're going to be late so I can plan something, right? But I'm not going to throw him away.
Because you get the 80%.
Because I get a whole lot more
Yeah.
that's valuable.
Yeah.
Did I easily come to that point? It took me
It's a struggle.
It took me a minute.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a struggle.
But now it's becoming easier for me to
You expect it.
Yes.
Yeah. You expect it. Yeah. I think, and I'm even surprised now I think this way,
Okay.
but I think that this point of expectations, right? It really absorbs a lot of chaos,
Yeah.
right? Because if you will be honest about your expectations, it can really change how things work for you.
But don't people always promise that they will do something, even when you set out your expectations, right?
Yeah.
Because I was talking to a friend who went out with someone, and he said, "Oh, I met this girl. She's nice. She's cool." And he was talking about how she doesn't want to get married, and she's my type of girl. And I said, Charlie, the only person in this world who I know who doesn't want to get married is the only person I know who doesn't want to get married, who is a woman. And you and I know that person. There's only one person that I know for real, right? And we laughed about it.
Right.
And he says, yeah, but that's what she said. I said, but we all know that women say that at the beginning. And then 6 months into it, 9 months into it, they change their mind. And then he sat there quietly. And then he says, and I said, but this has happened to you so many times. So why are you still falling for it? And then he says, yeah, but she seems so cool. I'm like, but remember that you are in a certain income bracket, right? You earn north of £500,000. You're a good looking man. You were this, you were that, you were this, you were that.
You are ticking her boxes.
You are ticking all of those boxes.
You are at 85%.
So you are at 90%. Right?
Yeah, that's bad,
So immediately, you are in a really, really good place, right?
Right.
So I will say all the things you want to hear to get through the crack of the door.
Right.
But the moment I get through the crack of the
I want
door,
to sweep the place.
I want to
Spread my carpet.
I want to put my carpets on
Pack my
and
things
put
here.
my table in and put my bed in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the question I have is that, are there times when people actually state their expectation
Yeah.
and people say they're okay with it or they can deliver on those expectations, but they don't really intend to?
Yeah. Look, I think, you know that thing, you're saying everybody's inherently has some positive, some good in them. And T.D. Jakes described it as better angels, right? He referred to someone, they say you appeal to someone's better angels. That suggests everybody has a better angel in them. I think that there's a part of a human being that always wants to do better. There's a part of us that wants to say the better thing, do the better thing. But it doesn't always match with the effort, right? I think that there are times people commit to things and people agree to things and they do it with a good heart, but not with big intention.
Or not with intent to act.
That is why I'm saying
Okay,
big intention.
okay. That's
right?
what big intention is.
Exactly.
Okay.
So my heart doesn't want you to be upset, right? So if I'm doing something that upsets you, I will never do it again.
But
It's what my heart wants to tell you. But my behavior cannot hold
substantiate
you understand? And I think that I've gotten to the point of taking on that self-responsibility of protecting myself in relationships, right?
Okay.
So what happens when you realize that an expectation has either changed or cannot be met repeatedly? It's time for boundaries. And there's this thing that helps, which I've liked to hear. As Daniel says, it, other preachers, other public speakers have talked about it, where you need to get to that point where you make those decisions and you make them from a place of not okay, so we're supposed to love everyone. It's our Christian law, right? Love everyone. But there's nowhere that said give everyone access.
No, absolutely.
So love everyone, access to few.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. The
So,
onion.
You have to get to the point where you say that access has to become increasingly limited to this person who's not able to meet the expectation.
Yeah.
Not because they don't want to. They tried or they said they would, but they can't.
Yeah.
And as accepting that is very important, because does that mean you may have some lonely days? Yes, but they would be very peaceful days as well,
Yes.
as opposed to a lonely, tears-filled day.
No, as opposed to having people around you
And still feel alone.
And feel alone. Because you can't have a lot of people around you and still feel alone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that we also want to have to understand that sometimes people don't even know what they are really capable of or
That's true.
incapable of.
That's true.
Right? And you have to remember that we come from a society that has this societal constructs of what a human being should do. You should be kind, you should be nice, you should be there for your friends. It doesn't mean I can do it.
It doesn't mean I was built for that.
You understand?
Yeah.
So like you could have a friend you love to bits, but she'll never be the first to your event.
No.
And it can hurt you every time, and it will hurt you every
Every
time.
time.
Is that the 20% you live with?
No.
You have to decide. And I think that it's all part of the intentionality. So the more intentional you are, I don't want to say the less hurt, but the more joy you will have in your friendships. And the more joy you have in your friendships, the more your life is enriched.
So I guess the point here is that it comes down to managing your expectations. It comes down to how you choose your friendships. It comes down to you setting the right boundaries within those relationships. And it comes down to you extending grace. So it's like a coping mechanism where
Yes.
you extend the grace as a way of managing how you react to certain actions that are happening.
Yeah.
When do you decide that this one's got to go?
Look, even as a manager, it's hard to sack somebody when they are not performing.
How much more your friends?
I think
Okay, it might not be this one's gotta go, but
Right.
when do you decide that you need to
make some adjustments.
make some
right?
adjustments?
I think when you realize the change. Because I think that we are in a culture of allowing things to be longer than they should be,
That's true.
right? There's a
Like
non-performer.
7 years,
Charlie,
8 years, then you are
Charlie,
there. Then
Charlie.
struggle gang,
Sufferation.
gang.
I think that your level of discomfort should be the motivation for how soon you should do it.
Yeah.
But I also think that empathy, love, understanding, patience, grace should guide how you do it.
I agree.
Because you can't walk into the house and say, you, that, you're cancelled,
Yeah.
But there are ways you can
But
do
there's
it.
a place for that.
Oh yes, there's a place for that. But personally, I've gotten to that point where
I'm stirring it up.
I get you. Stir it up for sure. However, I always come back to that looking for the grace, right? Because I want that grace extended to me.
I agree.
I believe love doesn't end.
Love doesn't end.
I do believe that
Okay, tell me why you say love doesn't end.
There are friends who've upset you, who've hurt you, who've betrayed you. You still love them. You just limited access. You said I'll love them from afar.
Well, no, I do have a very close friend. Still love her to bits. But I'll say hello and I'll keep it rolling.
There are people we feel very warm feelings towards that we don't keep close to us.
Yeah.
Even family.
Yeah.
You understand? So I feel like if ever, for any reason, for the history alone, let me try to find a graceful way to walk away. There are times when, therapists have these different tools that they tell you to use. Besides boundaries, there's this one that they'll ask you, you can sit across from your therapist and literally write a letter to this friend that you are counseling or walking away from, and write a letter to them, but you wouldn't probably share it with a friend. But the therapist will allow you to read it to them.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives you the release that I've said my piece and I move on. I think things like that are much better than the confrontation, because I don't avoid confrontation, but I'd prefer to spend that time in conflict resolution than to end it. If it's going to be over, let's not waste one more day in a room saying, leave me alone. Because again, we are now trying to learn to be intentional about making the friendship. So now becoming intentional about ending it is also a different kind of process. Right?
So let me challenge that thinking a little bit. And random thought.
Stir it up.
So when I think about the expression love doesn't end, I agree 100%.
Okay.
Because if there is genuine love, even in a relationship, right? When you break up and you love someone, you don't stop loving the person the next day.
Right?
It's there. It's there. Right? You might move on to someone else, but you still care about that person.
Yes.
That is my opinion.
Yeah.
Right?
So it moves maybe from an emotional, that level of intimate love to maybe agape love or something. Like there's a certain love that it goes, its space it is in.
It might even stay in that same form.
Okay.
But what might happen is that it's not at the forefront of things, right? Depending on how it ends, right? But you even for spouses who are divorced, you'd realize that a lot of the resentment and the fighting that comes during that separation, it is the mourning of the bond, right? And so, in my opinion, it's the
if
love.
If it wasn't there, there will be nothing like that.
There will be nothing like that, right?
Yeah.
It's the grieving of the loss.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, but I also think that it's important for closure that even if you're not going to have a conversation, you need to have that conversation with yourself, with your therapist, or you need to have that series of thoughts that help you
end it. Yeah, for sure.
And sever those ties.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because that is how you begin to close one chapter or close one book and open another one.
Fair enough. But I'll be countercultural and say that I don't need closure to move on anymore.
You don't, eh?
No,
but the closure is not for the person to apologize to you or for the person to come and talk to you, right? That's why I said that you either have the conversation with yourself or your therapist, but there needs to be some mourning of
you have to mourn the relationship.
Of that relationship,
sure. Okay. I've heard a therapist say that before.
Yeah.
You have to mourn it. You may not even tell this person you are mourning their relationship, right? But you have to, because I think that coming to terms with what the new
normal
is important.
Even the fact that this person was an integral part of your life.
Exactly. And now you wave at them.
Strangers.
Yes. Strangers again.
Hey.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I think we underestimate
the effects.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think, guys make it seem like female friendships are too complex and all of that. But I think that even guys need to be intentional about their friends because, I always say that, unfortunately, it's usually the grief or the emergencies or the negative things that happen in life that reveal the real character of your squad.
Yeah.
The guy who never showed up,
Yeah.
the guy who doesn't call, then the guy who comes to your house with the packs of water, the guy who asks you where you buy your electricity to go and buy it for you, the guy who keeps asking where are the drinks, the guy who keeps... These people are the people you've been spending your life with.
Yeah.
One day you will find out if it's been worth it.
Yeah.
And what do you want to find out on that day?
Yeah.
You need to think like that so that you make intentional friends. Yeah. And it's okay if they are just 3. Even Jesus had just 3. Yeah. But then it's also okay if there's 12 of them, because within them, you still need your inner circle. And it's okay if there are 70 of them. Within them, you still need the 12. You need to get to a point where you have a certain level of understanding that this relationship too is important. Yeah. Because you get to a place where, regardless of what stage you are in life, the kind of support system that friends are for you, it's priceless. You can't pay for it anywhere. You can pay someone to go with you somewhere. Mm. You can pay for somebody to call you every day. But you can't pay for someone to connect with you and care about you the way your friend would. Yes. Right?
Yes.
Your friend would see through your smile and know there's abuse going on.
Wrong. Yes.
Your friend would realize what you are not able to afford anymore.
A small change in your voice.
Exactly.
So it's interesting. I make a phone call.
Yeah. Your friend
And
knows.
the first response is, are you okay?
Exactly.
And I'm trying to sound as upbeat as possible.
We know
but
you.
She can tell.
Yeah.
No, this doesn't sound like you.
Yeah. I think that since I learned this, I see the difference. Yeah. Not just in people, in me. What I accept, what I don't accept. What I understand I am worth, what I feel like I didn't deserve that, or I deserve better. Also, I could have done better. It's clarified some of those things. And still a work in progress, but I would say that it brings a lot more peace to your life. Yeah. Because our friendships are the support system that work regardless of the other systems. Yeah. Right? So on its own, if you have nothing going on well for you in life, but you have
one or two friends, Charlie,
something is good.
Something is good.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If you are married and you have kids, your friends are extra uncles and aunties that your kids have. Yes. Sometimes even better than the blood uncles and aunties.
So a couple of years ago, there's a guy who had worked with me as a planner. Mm. And when he was leaving, he wrote me the coolest letter. Mm. And I'll read it to you one day.
Okay.
And I saved it. And it's one of those letters that actually I'll find it. I'll read it. No.
It tells you there's something in there after all.
I'll find it and I'll read it to you.
Mm. Mm. I really think that we are not from a culture that has nurtured friendships as much.
No, we don't.
We're not from a culture that has appreciated friendships as much. And so it doesn't seem like a big deal if you don't have friends. It doesn't seem like a big deal if you have too many friends. Like, it's never really a big deal.
So this is it.
Okay.
So this is October 2016.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I keep receipts.
Indeed, you have the receipts.
So he says, and I might bleep a few things out. He says, most of the people in our lives we cannot explain. Mm-hmm. For instance, we don't know how or why we ended up with the family we did. Mm. We just did. Mm. One day we were born and we have a mother, father, if we are lucky, brother, sister, dog, etc. It's the family, no matter what shape. It's our family, no matter what shape they take. Mm. They're what we have, and we go through life knowing these are constants. Mm. Regardless of whether they are fuck-ups, successful, divorce, drug addicts, in debt, we are stuck with them. Mm. People deal with their family issues in different ways, but for me, the best way I have managed to survive has been to step outside my no-choice family and find friends. precious people who make up my second home away from home, my family of choice. From the moment XX brought me through your office door, you accepted me, probably with a lot of hesitation. You've been through my irrational love phase, my XXXXXX. You've seen me through my best, my worst, through everything, and have come to be a very important part of my life. I could go on and on, but words just can't express how big and important a role you've come to play in my life. The only thing I can possibly say is thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for me and for accepting me as one of your own. Thank you for putting up with me and my short fuse and tantrums. Thank you for taking a chance on me when I had no experience. Thank you for always having my best interest at heart. Thank you for never judging me and for helping me shape me into the man I am today. Thank you for all the love you've given me in the past, present, and the future. Thank you for every day, every memory, every moment in which we've shared. I only hope that I have been able to give you as much love and joy as you have given me. Although we may pick our biological family, we do not get to pick our adopted family. I just want you to know that I would pick you every time.
Wow.
And I kept it, right?
It should be kept.
It should be kept,
Yeah.
right?
This is like a testimonial of when friendship works.
Yes.
Because it sounds like one that also was organic.
Completely organic.
Exactly.
So this is someone who worked for me.
So then the person you were basically an advisor to them first.
Oh, yes.
And then
he put me through shit, excuse my French, right?
Right.
But he's an amazing human, still my friend, has moved all over the world,
Yeah.
has gotten married, has kids. We talk maybe once every 3 months, and we'll talk for maybe an hour.
Yeah.
But he's an amazing human being, right? And throughout the time he worked for me, didn't believe in God. And we would have hours of arguments. And now he's a Bible, he's a
soldier.
He's a soldier for the Lord. And I look at him and I'm like, look at you, this child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You've gotten, so coming back to relational intelligence, right? So this is somebody you've gone in that journey with, where you were an advisor to them. And then you became more of, they were your assignment. At a point, there's a point you decided
complete assignment.
that you can help this person. There's a point you said, I can take this person from here to there.
Yes.
And you did that. And then it got to a point where you were now having conversations beyond helping.
Yeah.
It was chatting, talking about life.
And he's helped me a lot.
And in all of this, because he said all of that.
He's helped me even with the way I deal with my kids.
So you've been able to sort of grow with this person from the most distant type of that relationship all the way to actual friends, right? When you live through a journey like that, your heart is full enough to write a message like that.
Yes.
You've understood the benefits because at every stage he's been helped, but you've also been helped.
Oh, yes.
The concept,
the value to me, I can't.
The concept of every kind of relationship supposed to be a give all and walk away type is wrong.
Yes.
Friendships are supposed to be reciprocal, right?
Completely reciprocal.
Yes. It's supposed to be good for me and good for you, not good for me or good for you.
Yes.
It's the end, right?
Yeah.
There are other relationships that are supposed to be, they're service to you. I just give.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting anything back. But once we become friends, it's supposed to be reciprocal. And if I don't see, know, or like what I'm getting, I have every right to go look for it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody like this, look at the life-changing effect of a great friendship for them.
No, I'll tell you what, right? I learned so much from this relationship about myself over a long time.
Yeah.
And homeboy tested my patience. He tested my intellect. He tested my love, right? And eventually I was like, you know what? I take you exactly as you are. And we'll work through this together.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to see him just change as a human, right?
Yeah.
And you are absolutely right. And it's also, I think, another thing that we haven't talked about is possibly also around accepting people as they are. And not trying to change
them.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think we go into relationships trying to change people. But that is also a thing around when you go into a relationship that's based on trust, then you can also then not try and change people. I think we the other day we were talking about Francis Fry's framework around
Trust.
building trust, right? Because when people are authentic with you, and they show you who they truly are, you can trust them, right? When people talk to you and what they say makes sense, you know you can trust what they're saying, right? And it's really, 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 really important. And when people are empathetic and you can tell that there's a connection, right? And it also helps build that trust. And that's one of the things that happened with this person and I, right? Because over time, I knew I could trust him completely, whether I was with work, whether I was with my greatest fears, whether I was with my family. You know what I mean? And that's how. And I wasn't trying to change him.
No.
But he also began to adjust himself because he realized that this is important to Akua, so I need to adjust.
I think the one thing I would say, the other thing in terms of the benefit of friends, beyond community and all, friendships are also where you would grow. Friendships help you grow up. We are so upset, slighted, jilted when our friends do the wrong things or do things that don't make us happy, that we don't realize what they're teaching us. Because I've gotten to a point where I've begun to appreciate that, you know what, this person was so horrible. However, they've taught me how to be patient. However, they've taught me how to put myself in someone else's shoes. However, they've taught me how to accept people for who they are. You know, friends help you grow, consciously or unconsciously. You learn to manage yourself better because of your friends. If at some point you get to that stage where this person or this person you're calling your friend is doing something that you don't like, but all the other parts of them you like, it becomes your responsibility to learn to navigate that.
And recalibrate.
And you grow there too, right? You grow there too. So there's a growth element to that. And the more you grow also, the more your heart also expands. And that's where the grace comes from. Remember that because you also chose this friend based on a certain value system, there's only so much further they can go from who you already know they are. So you wouldn't have to change them.
No.
I chose you because you are silly.
Yeah.
Why am I coming to make you smarter? I chose you because you are silly. So if you've chosen well, if you've understood what you want and you chose well, you will never need to change your friends. You really would never. And sometimes you also have to give that space for that person may also change.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Change is the one constant in life, isn't it?
Right.
So people are evolving.
Yeah.
And almost every 5 years, people are a different version of themselves.
Yeah.
And so you as an individual need to be aware of that evolution. And if we are all growing, we'll be different versions of ourselves, but we need to kind of keep it rolling and be willing to adjust to each other to keep the, and sometimes we will outgrow each other, but we need to know when we've outgrown each other.
Exactly. And I think that sometimes when we outgrow each other, the next best step is then we can't be friends again.
No.
But what it is just the birth of a new version of the friendship.
Of the friendship.
Of which you can still mourn the old version. Because maybe you really like that. But you also have to be open to what this new one could be. Right?
Yeah.
Because you can have somebody who was your friend when you were in school. And what you knew from each other was...
Yeah.
But then now they're married, they have 2 kids, you have 1 kid.
Their lives are completely different.
Exactly. And you would find that old friend deep down in there. But there's a lot of things also that have changed. So it becomes a new relationship. You could open yourself up to that. Or you could throw everything away. Yeah. It's your choice. Right? But what do you want? What are you looking for?
This has been a lovely conversation.
It has been, as always.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Cocktails. Okay, so to the
cocktail part.
to the cocktail part.
Okay.
But I was thinking, this is an evening conversation,
Okay.
and so
It's evening tea.
it's evening tea.
Okay.
And tell me what flavor of tea you're tasting.
Okay.
All right. Let's see.
Okay. Let's see. Is this like a...
Don't even go there. Don't even say anything.
Okay.
Don't even say anything.
Okay.
Let's see.
Ooh. Is that like raspberry or...
You're close enough.
Okay.
So keep.
Strawberry? But it's a berry.
Kind of.
What do you mean, kind of?
It's blackcurrant.
Okay. All right. Okay. But that's nice. That's a really nice tea.
It's a nice tea.
Yeah.
See?
Okay.
I'm not just doing cocktails.
Okay.
now. I'm not just being a
You're stirring it up.
delinquent child.
You're stirring it up.
I needed to use these cups for something.
Right? They're fancy. They're fancy. Branded cups and all.
Branded cups and
Okay.
all.
Okay.
Today I've kind of been good. Anyway, thank you
This
so
was
much
good.
for coming, Sharon.
Most welcome. I enjoy our conversations.
I absolutely do.
I don't come here kicking and screaming anymore.
No.
I'm waiting for my contract though.
We'll talk to your manager.
Okay, talk to my management.
Zadok! Thank you. It's a wrap.